Hey, what's up, you guys? How's it going? It's Papa, and I want to showcase you guys my first place Regenesis Kashtira deck profile that I have been playing for the current format. One of my biggest regrets about the regional that just passed here in Los Angeles is that I ended up playing pure Ryziel for the event when in reality I should have actually just played Regenesis Cash because it was the deck I was testing, but I was super nervous about the event the night before. If you guys hadn't seen, I've been posting shorts every single day for almost 2 weeks now, or actually I think it's been almost 3 weeks now. Wow. But anyway, I really wanted to play this deck, but I got cold feet at the very last second, like literally 10 minutes before I submitted my deck list, that kind of cold feet. But I really like how the deck works. I really think this deck is very under the radar right now. I think the deck is solid. I think it's a lot of fun, and honestly, I really recommend you guys to give this deck a try. Now, I'm recording in a much different way than I'm used to recording on the channel, so if you do like this layout, if you do like how this is being presented, please let me know in the comment section down below. And if you're new here, my name is Papa, and I do deck profiles, I do shorts, I do openings, whatever you can think of. I have probably done it on my channel at some point, so if you haven't already, please be sure to like and subscribe, because if you like and subscribe, it lets me know that I am doing something right. But without further ado, we are just going to go ahead and get into the deck profile. So starting off with the main deck, of course, we are on 3 copies of Regenesis Archfiend. I think this card is super busted. The fact that you can reveal basically just another monster with 2500 attack or defense from the hand to inherent summon this card is very busted. And then this being also a Stratos for any Regenesis card in your deck is also very strong. So it makes it to where if you already have, like, let's say Regenesis Lord in hand, then you can search the Regenesis spell, the Regenesis trap, or you can also search the E-Telly for Regenesis. But this card is super solid all around. I'm sure if you've already seen other decks on YouTube already that play this deck, you'll understand exactly why this card is so good. And then I'm also on 1 copy of Regenesis Lord. You only need 1 of these. Arguably, you cannot play this card if you want to. It is completely up to your preference. I have seen people play this card. I have seen people not play this card. I do end up siding it out, going second from time to time. Granted, it really just depends on the matchup. If it's like a let's say like a trap heavy deck, then I really don't want to be playing it, because odds are it's going to get bounced, or it's going to be not seeing the light of day for much longer once it hits the field, because the traps will just get rid of it. But on top of the lore, we do play the 1 copy of Regenesis Sage. This card is very busted. This is essentially the Omni Negate. For those that don't know, all the other names other than Archfiend, where if you have a monster with 2500 attack or defense on the field, you can inherently special summon them from your hand. So this one, Regenesis Warrior, and Regenesis Dragon are basically your go-to names for this situation. Basically what they do, they all have different effects. Sage is essentially an Omni Negate once per turn by sending a Regenesis card from your hand or field to the graveyard to negate and destroy something. And then the Regenesis Warrior is essentially a compulse by sending itself. And then the Regenesis Dragon is essentially a Cosmic Cyclone. All of these cards are very strong. You don't really need multiples of them. I think being able to just play the ones and then just reserve your resources is essentially the way to go for this kind of engine. But honestly, I have not seen myself needing more after the first time I posted this list as a short. But I honestly think that this is the perfect lineup. You could essentially play a second stage if you want to and cut the Lord for it. I have thought about that, but I am just playing the 1-1 for now, and so far it has been working. So that's it for the Regenesis monster package. Moving on to the spells for Regenesis, we are on, of course, the 3 copies of just straight up Regenesis. So this is essentially Rhoda. Basically, this card lets you add any Regenesis monster from your deck to your hand, and then the other effect of Regenesis is that if it is in the graveyard, except the turn that it is sent there, then you can banish this card from the graveyard and you can special summon a Regenesis monster from your graveyard. So it is very solid, because if you already had one in there and say like your follow-up turn, you activate a Regenesis, then you can basically not only get the search effect, but you can also banish this one from the graveyard to special summon it. So that's basically how the card works. I don't really know what else to say there, because you can use each effect once per turn. So even if you already have one in the grave and you activate another one, then you can just banish the one that was already in there beforehand and just keep going from there. So card's very busted. One of my favorite cards in the deck is actually Regenesis Code. So for those that don't know, Regenesis Code is essentially emergency teleport for any of your Regenesis names except for Lord. Basically what Regenesis Code does is that you can special summon a Regenesis monster from the deck, and then you send it to the graveyard during your opponent's end phase. And then until the end of the next turn after this card has resolved, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck, which is completely fine. We hardly ever use the extra deck. You'll be able to see that when we get into the extra deck section alone. But you definitely want to maxed out on this card because this is essentially how you get a body onto the board minus the Kashtira cards, and then that's essentially how you're going to be able to get your engine rolling from there. And then probably my favorite card in the deck is actually Regenesis Birth. This card is a powerhouse. Basically, Regenesis Birth, what it does is that it is a Book of Moon as well as a Soul Charge. Basically, you can send a Regenesis monster from your deck to the graveyard for cost, and then target a face-up monster your opponent controls and flip that shit face down. And then the other effect is that you can send this card to the graveyard and you can special summon as many Regenesis monsters from your graveyard or your banish to the field, and then you send them to the graveyard during the end phase, which, don't get me wrong, is not really that big of an issue, because when you get all of your names into the graveyard, they can all add themselves back at the end phase of your opponent's turn. So basically, you are just getting mad recursion, you are clearing your opponent's board, you are getting all kinds of different effects. It's just nuts how this deck works. Honestly, I really like this deck a lot. But that's going to do it for the Regenesis package. It's not huge, but it's like, tiny but mighty. But that's going to do it for those cards. And then probably the reason why you can play this deck is because of the Kashtiras. So we are on 3 copies of Kashtira Unicorn. Card is super busted. I shouldn't really have to explain what the cash cards do. We should all know by now like how good these cards are. I mean, essentially just very problematic. It's the fact that Unicorn has been on the ban list, has come off the ban list, and for some reason this card's a 3. Being able to just snipe cards out of your opponent's extra deck is just super solid. And then just the fact that I have ripped cards like Requiem, I've gotten rid of like the Evil Twin Link one, getting rid of Little Knights, getting rid of Sequence, like all these kind of problematic cards, like Chaos Angel is also just another issue. But Unicorn is just very super solid and very useful for that aspect of the deck, so can't really complain. You have to play 3. And the list that I played, where I won, I played 2 copies of Fenrir. I was originally playing 3 of it, but I ended up not really liking it that much at 3, if I may be honest, because if you have this one as your starter, then you kind of just add Unicorn, and if you don't have a Regenesis card, then you can't really do anything. So basically, you're just going Fenrir, add Unicorn, and like pass. So it's not really the best way that you want to be playing this deck right now. So you only really need 2. And then the second one is also just fine because you play cards like Kashtira Theosis, which can just get one summon out from the deck when you use the Unicorn. But I really think just playing the 3-2 was very solid for me. I never really saw myself missing the 3rd Fenrir. It was fine. And then you also have Birth to revive it, so it's very good there. And then speaking of the Kashtira spells, we played 1 copy of Kashtira Birth, 1 copy of Kashtira Theosis, and then as well as 1 copy of Pressured Planet Ratesoft. So fun fact about Kashtira Birth, you can normal summon level 7 monsters without tributing. So basically the Regenesis, I believe it's Regenesis Sage. Yeah, Regenesis Sage is a level 7. So you can summon it as your normal summon, and then you can basically just also summon your other names in the in your hand as well. So basically, if you don't have like the Archfiend, but you have Birth, it's very good for that instance. So basically, it makes it to where Birth is almost never dead in your hand. But Theosis is like probably the worst card that you can draw, if I may be honest. If you draw Theosis with no cash cards, and then it's just basically a dead card. I ended up siding it out on certain occasions, but the card is still fine to play. And then Rates Off is Rates Off. Everyone's playing Draw right now, so it's kind of hard to justify playing more of this, because if you start your turn with Rates Off, odds are once you get drilled, you're probably not winning the game. So it was just correct for me. It just felt right to play 1. So that's going to do it for the Kashtira package of the deck. And then some non-engine. We play quite a bit. We play 2 copies of Mulch Perulia, and then we also play 3 copies of Fuwalos. You definitely want to be playing this card right now. The card's super solid. 3 copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, 3 copies of Droll and Mockbird, as well as 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. So essentially what you want to do with these is you want to make sure that these are going to be enough to stop your opponent. The only awkward thing that I don't like about this non-engine lineup is the fact that if you are drawing these going first, they essentially don't do anything. I found myself to where, like, if my opponent like had shifted me, or if they had, say, like hit me with a Perulia or Fuwalos. Fuwalos not really too much because this deck doesn't really care about that. But if you get hit by like Perulia, then you end up just passing anyway. So these cards are fine. I don't really think that they're like bad per se, but I did end up using like Dead Fuwalos and Dead Perulias to make Almirage to help go into Little Knight plays. But again, the extra deck doesn't really matter too much. But I feel like these cards are just fine. I didn't really have any issues with it. I think I kind of copied the hand trap lineup from someone who either topped or won with the deck, but I feel like Joel is mandatory. Emberm's kind of like weak, if I may be honest. It's kind of a lot better drawing it for turn because it doesn't hit Requiem. I mean, it hits Lacrima, don't get me wrong, but I just feel like Imperm's not enough, so I kind of want something more. And Ash is just Ash. You kind of have to play it in case you do get Charming. But that's it for the hand trap lineup. And then for the rest of the main deck, we do play the one Called by the Grave, one Crossout Designator, one Triple Tactics Talent, and one Pot of Prosperity to make this a clean 40, like your mom. So that's going to round off the main deck. It is 40 cards, no more, no less. I was at 41 before when I was playing the third Perulia. I was originally doing 3 Perulia, 3 Fualos, but I didn't really like it. I thought the rest of the deck was fine, so I ended up cutting the third Perulia for just 2 copies instead, and it worked out just fine for me. For the extra deck, I do play 1 copy of the Duration, the Cursed Thunder God. I never make this card, if I may be honest. I think it's only there for if I draw like Ash and a like level 8. So I never make this card. It is just there to be there. You can play Changing as well if you want to, but I opted to not do it because I figured if I'm not making Duration, I'm not going to be making Changing. This card is just there to be there. So one of those. For the Xyzes, I think this is the most important part of the deck. So we play 1 copy of Typhon, 1 Zeus, 1 Flare Metal Dragon, 1 Draco Sack, 1 Big Eye, 1 Dingirsu, and 1 Buzz King. I feel like this package is probably the most important in the extra deck, if I may be honest, because I'm not really ever making link plays. Mainly because I feel like the links don't really do a whole lot for you other than like maybe Little Knight, maybe Heat Soul. But essentially, since you're using the cards on your turn to link climb, you won't get their end phase effect during your turn to add themselves back to the hand, which can hinder sometimes. So sometimes it's just safer to have it underneath an Xyz monster and just hope that your opponent like kind of gets rid of it, and that way you can just add them back at the end phase. But I don't know. That's just kind of bad logic to me. So I just felt like the Xyzes were just a little bit more important. Buzz King I never really made. Dingirsu never made. Big Eye was important. Draco Sack's important because it helps clear like floodgates. And then Flare Metal is there to be Flare Metal. And then the other 2 are just important since you're playing any Xyz deck. So you definitely want to play those. But that's it for the Xyz lineup. And then we played 1 copy of Almirage. Again, this was just for in case you draw like too many Charmies and you just need to basically go into your Little Knight to get that extra banish effect. But it only got made a couple times for that reasoning. 2 Link Spider for the Draco Sack. Basically, if you don't know about Prosperity, then you can do the Draco Sack line to go into Heat Soul, which is why we play the Crystal Heart. And I'll just show it right now. We play the Heat Soul as well. But basically, this package is here so that way we can link climb to draw a couple cards. Hopefully, it's like Engine or non-Engine, whatever it is. If you draw like an Ash, it's cool. If you draw a Droll, even better. And then we play 1 copy of Little Knight, as well as 1 copy of Access Code Talker for the occasional game-winning punch, which, again, like I said, I don't really like links summoning too much in this deck because you don't get your end phase recursion. So I just felt like this was fine. That's going to do it for the extra deck. I'll just quickly go over the side deck. Probably one of the MVPs of the side deck has been 3 copies of Lava Golem. Don't need your normal summon, which is very important because you can play cards like Lava Golem. You can play like Manny's Fiend or Majesty's Fiend if you wanted to as well, but I just felt like this was fine. But Lava Golem was cool. It's great against Malice boards. It's great against Ryziel decks. It just does a whole lot for you. The only thing that it kind of sucks against is like the Mitsuruki stuff, which is something you kind of have to be a little bit careful with. But if you play it correctly, you should be fine. Lava Golem is just pretty sick in this deck. We play 3 copies of Artifact Lancia. Same thing. Card is just busted if you see it. If you do like the Heat Soul line and you draw on a Lancia against a Mounts player, the game's essentially over. And then we play 2 copies of Lightning Storm as well as the Harpy Feather Duster for just Rogue or whatever it is. Cards are very solid. And then I play 3 copies of Solemn Judgment for going first. Basically, this deck loses to cards like Evenly Match, Lightning Storm, any other kind of just annoying card, honestly. Judgment is just very strong and super versatile. And then probably one of the cool things I liked about the deck is the floodgates that you can play. So I played 1 Skill Drain, 1 Anti-Spell, and then 1 There Can Be Only One. There Can Be Only One is actually probably the best card in the side deck. I kind of want to main deck it because of how powerful it is, but being able to flip this against a Malice opponent, some Ryziel matchups, depending on how they start, is also just kind of game ending. So There Can Be is honestly just such a solid card because all of your stuff is different. Basically, if you see it, you should be winning the game. This paired with the Judgment, you're fine. Yeah, guys, that's going to go ahead and do it for the deck profile. I hope you really liked it because honestly, I really think this deck is a lot of fun. I really like what it can do. I like the versatility that it has because you can play it with not only just Kashtira, but you can also use Bystials if you're into that kind of thing. I'm personally not. I don't really like the Bystials in this deck just because it's just kind of not my bag, maybe. Yeah, not really. No. But other than that, I think the deck is super solid. Again, big meta sleeper right now because I just feel like a lot of people aren't playing it. Either that or they are playing it and they're just not putting up the results with it like they should be. But the deck is super solid, super fun to play. If you haven't already, please go ahead and check it out. And again, like I said, if you're new here, please check out the rest of my channel. And if you liked it, then please let me know in the comment section down below. And until next time, guys, this has been Bappa, and I will catch you all in my next video.